Stuck in the Ringer. It's ranked the fourth worst episode in SpongeBob history, at least according to IMDB. But here's the thing, I don't think it's that bad. In fact, I'd argue it's basically fine. And honestly, by the end of this video, I challenge you to maybe, just maybe, think differently than me. So let's dive into it. Now there's about 5 main reasons everyone hates this episode, and the biggest one is that Patrick is stupid. Basically, in the episode, SpongeBob gets stuck in his ringer, hence the name of the episode, and then Patrick shows up and superglues him. When will you improve? And basically, people are really mad that Patrick is stupid and he superglues his best friend. When has Patrick ever been smart? Seriously, name me one episode that Patrick's ever been smart. The only episode I can recall off the top of my head is that one episode called Patrick's Smarty Pants or something. Basically, Patrick's always been stupid. Like, that's been clear since day one, since episode 1, Patrick's been an idiot. So why is everyone mad at him now? Now don't get me wrong, this is definitely a new brand of stupidity, but don't we almost expect that from Patrick's character? In fact, the episode makes it very clear that Patrick is stupid. When they go to the carnival, Patrick mentions something along the lines of the carnival being rare, and then we see a sign saying the carnival comes all year round.
Oh, come on! Oh, how many times does a carnival come to town?
That's Patrick in a nutshell. He's an idiot. So why are we magically mad in this specific episode that he's stupid? It doesn't make sense to get mad at this episode. And actually, this is one of the better episodes of Patrick. You know how everyone likes seasons 1, 2, and 3? Yeah, people mainly like Patrick's not only funny stupidity, but also his kinda nice moments. When he's actually looking out for SpongeBob, when SpongeBob's sad and depressed, he takes him to the carnival. Something any normal person would do. Now, don't get me wrong, he's still stupid enough not to realize that SpongeBob is clinically depressed, but he's trying to help. This is like classic Patrick. He's trying to help, but it doesn't work out. Now, I know the keyboard warriors are already in the comments talking about how there's more than one reason. In fact, there's 5, and we're getting to it. The second biggest reason is the people. Basically, when SpongeBob and Patrick have their fight in public, the entire crowd sides with Patrick. And don't get me wrong, it's a little bit frustrating, SpongeBob's clearly in the right, but once again, when have the people of Bikini Bottom been nice? They've always been like this. Remember the episode Grandma's Kisses? The whole episode is dedicated to everyone hating SpongeBob because he loves his grandmother. I don't see people hating that episode. Or what about the episode Big Pink Loser? No one seems to be mad at this fish for making one of the best jokes in the entire show. Or everyone's favorite episode, Band Geeks. This fish insults SpongeBob and everyone's okay with it. The people of Bikini Bottom have always been rude. So why is it surprising to see them be rude again? It doesn't really make any sense. It's more of a pattern at this point that they're not good people. So it's not really a valid reason to hate this episode. Now the first 2 things were quite common. Almost every review talked about how this is like a new low for Patrick or the crowd sucks. But there were some rare things that people talked about that made no sense. Like a couple of the people were saying that this episode makes us want to feel bad for Patrick. These people can vote. Basically, when SpongeBob and Patrick have their fight and the people turn on SpongeBob, Patrick cries, and so we're supposed to feel bad for him. If you just continue watching the episode, SpongeBob's heart literally breaks. Like, the show very clearly wants us to feel bad for him. Then, when the episode ends, we see SpongeBob depressed in a room and Patrick goes to apologize. Once again, we're supposed to feel bad for SpongeBob, not Patrick. And even earlier, when SpongeBob gets kicked out of the Krusty Krab, we're supposed to feel bad for him, not Patrick. This is one of the weirdest claims I think I've ever seen, and it makes no sense. So it's not even a valid claim for saying that the episode is bad. Going back to what the common people say, almost everyone agreed this episode is not funny. And you know what? You're right. This episode isn't funny. Name me one season 7 episode that is. No, seriously, I'll sit here all day. Because there is none. Season 7 is by far the worst season in the entire show. And I'll die on that hill. Seriously, it's one of the worst I've ever seen. So to pick out this one episode from this already bad season and say it's bad, doesn't make any sense. Don't get me wrong, this episode isn't great by any means, but to pick it apart and say it's the 4th worst in the show just doesn't make any sense. Now so far, I've pretty much disagreed with the entire crowd, which is very on brand for me by the way, but there is one thing I actually do agree on. The entire episode is us watching SpongeBob suffer. And I agree, that's not fun, that's not good, that's not entertaining. It's not fun to watch the main character of the show suffer for 11 minutes. That's an absolutely valid complaint about this episode, that it's not fun to watch. So after going through all the bad reviews, I actually went through some of the good ones for this episode, and some of them actually make sense as to why this episode is alright. Like for example, everyone's in character, no one acts weirdly out of place. Compare that to some of the worst episodes in the show like A Pal for Gary or One Course Meal, those episodes are way worse. Like in A Pal for Gary, SpongeBob just can't see that this monster is trying to kill Gary. And then in One Course Meal, Mr. Krabs wants Plankton to run himself over. YouTube, please don't ban me. The point is, in those episodes, the characters of the show don't act like themselves. They're not actually being themselves. But here, everyone's acting like how they're supposed to. SpongeBob's trying to hide his feelings and be nice. Patrick is trying to be nice and help SpongeBob, but he's stupid. Mr. Krabs is being greedy, and even the crowd is being themselves. Almost everyone is acting like how they're supposed to. Also, this episode follows the basic rules of storytelling, like it has a setup, a conflict, a climax, and a resolution. I can't say that for all the episodes. Also, a lot of the people mention that it's kinda funny. Now don't get me wrong, the jokes are not funny, kinda like me, but the physical comedy is actually pretty decent. SpongeBob being stuck in a ringer is not that bad of an idea for an episode, and they actually did it pretty decently. Now it seems like I'm glazing this episode, but I'm actually just trying to say that it's not terrible, but it is still a very bad episode. Like I mentioned, watching SpongeBob suffer is not fun. It's not fun to see someone suffer for 11 minutes straight in any way. But the ending of the episode is the real bad part. Basically, at the end of the episode, SpongeBob's still stuck in the ringer, and Patrick comes to apologize. They end up crying together, and then you know that glue that was stuck since the start of the episode? Yeah, apparently crying makes it go away. And so the moral of the story is to cry away your problems. Remember, this is a kid's show. My mom tells me that every week. But this is a show for kids. Do we want our kids to get the lesson that throwing a temper tantrum is the way to get out of problems? I'd hope not, otherwise you're a terrible parent. And so the ending of this episode is some of the worst content I've ever seen. And I run this channel. But seriously, the ending of this episode sucks. It's one of the worst endings I've ever seen. Now, like I mentioned, this episode is by no means good. Seriously, it's one of the worst episodes in the show. But it's not the 4th worst in the show by no means. Like I mentioned, episodes like A Pal for Gary or One Course Meal are far worse. And the rankings show that. Even the Splinter is up there for just being disgusting. But then there's episodes like The Nitwitting that are far worse than Stuck in the Ringer that are not even close. Like this episode is so bad it's Patrick being dumb for 11 minutes. And somehow it's ranked better than Stuck in the Ringer. But by far the worst episode that I haven't talked about to this point is Toy Store of Doom. This episode is ranked the 20th worst. 20th. Are you kidding me? It's an entire episode about SpongeBob and Patrick crying over toys. How is this somehow better than Stuck in the Ringer? It is so much worse. Genuinely, I can't believe some people actually like this episode. It actually seriously makes me crash out. So, all in all, is Stuck in the Ringer perfect? No, it's not even close. Is it the 4th worst episode in the entire show? Absolutely not. Sure, it's flawed, but it's still kind of fun to watch. Everyone's in character, it has a decent story, and it even has a friendship lesson at the end. And the show delivers on that classic slapstick humor. So overall, this episode's bad, but it's by no means the 4th worst in the entire show. So, did I change your mind? If not, then leave a comment telling me why I'm wrong. And if I did change your mind, then how does it feel to lose? No, but seriously, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Just like and subscribe.